Hello and welcome live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi asserts it's India's time at a global business summit in Delhi, says the nation has transformed in the last 10 years. Pakistan heads for a hung National Assembly. Independents, backed by Imran Khan's party, are leading. Karachi Stock Exchange plunges 1.8% on political uncertainty. Joe Biden gets a reprieve in the classified documents case, but the special counsel dubs him forgetful commander-in-chief. The US president asserts his memory is fine. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar tells DD India in an exclusive about his book, Why India Matters, that the nation has maintained its growth trajectory amid global political and economic turmoil. And India is set to host the 71st Miss World contest from the 18th of February onwards after nearly 3 decades. Glittering pre-launch event held in Delhi with reigning Miss World and 4 former winners. Well, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday attended the Global Business Summit in New Delhi. Addressing the summit, the PM said that this is India's time. The whole world's confidence in India is increasing day by day.
ये वो समय है जब हमारी ग्रोथ रेट लगातार बढ़ रही है और हमारा फिस्कल डेफिसिट घट रहा है। ये वो समय है जब हमारा एक्सपोर्ट बढ़ रहा है और करंट अकाउंट डेफिसिट कम होती जा रही है। ये वो समय है जब हमारा प्रोडक्टिव इन्वेस्टमेंट रिकॉर्ड ऊंचाई पर है और महंगाई नियंत्रण में है। ये वो समय है जब अपॉर्चुनिटीज और इनकम दोनों बढ़ रही है और गरीबी कम हो रही है। ये वो समय है जब कंजम्पशन और कॉरपोरेट प्रॉफिटेबिलिटी दोनों बढ़ रहे हैं और बैंक एनपीए में रिकॉर्ड कमी आई है। ये वो समय है जब प्रोडक्शन और प्रोडक्टिविटी दोनों में वृद्धि हो रही हो और ये वो समय है जब हमारे आलोचक ऑल टाइम लो है।
The PM also said that he wants to secure the future of the coming generations before he leaves. He said he also stays away from politics where the coffers are empty for 4 extra votes.
हर बजट में आपको 4 प्रमुख फैक्टर्स नजर आएंगे। पहला, कैपिटल एक्सपेंडिचर के रूप में रिकॉर्ड प्रोडक्टिव खर्च। दूसरा, वेलफेयर स्कीम्स पर अनप्रेसिडेंटेड निवेश। तीसरा, वेस्टफुल एक्सपेंडिचर पर कंट्रोल। और चौथा, फाइनेंशियल डिसिप्लिन। इन 4 बातों को आपने बराबर देखा होगा। हमने इन चारों विषयों में संतुलन बिठाया और चारों विषयों में ही तय लक्ष्य प्राप्त करके दिखाए।
India's External Affairs Minister Subramaniam Jaishankar is on a visit to Perth in Australia to attend the 7th Indian Ocean Conference. Dr. Jaishankar joined Sri Lanka's President Ranil Wickremesinghe, Australia's Foreign Minister Penny Wong and Singapore's Foreign Minister Vivian Balakrishnan at the inaugural session of the conference. The theme of the 2-day conference is Towards a Stable and Sustainable Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean Conference is a flagship forum for countries in the Indian Ocean region, organized annually by India's Ministry of External Affairs in association with the India Foundation. Ahead of the conference, Dr. Jaishankar also met with his Australian counterpart, Penny Wong. This meeting was in Perth on Friday. Both the leaders had a good exchange on comprehensive strategic partnership and convergence on matters related to the Indian Ocean. They also discussed the Indo-Pacific situation in West Asia and other regional and global topics. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi has announced Bharat Ratna for former Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and Chaudhry Charan Singh. Also, the father of Green Revolution, Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, on Friday. Bharat Ratna is India's highest civilian honour. This recognition is a tribute to their significant contributions to India's development, welfare and agriculture. Expressing delight over the announcement, Prime Minister Modi said, P.V. Narasimha Rao, as a distinguished scholar and statesman, served India extensively in various capacities. He said that his visionary leadership was instrumental in making India economically advanced and laying a solid foundation for the country's prosperity and growth. The PM further added that his contributions to India's foreign policy, language and education sectors underscore his multifaceted legacy. Remembering the contribution of former Prime Minister Chaudhry Charan Singh, the PM said the Bharat Ratna is dedicated to his incomparable contribution to the country. The Prime Minister said Charan Singh had dedicated his entire life to the rights and welfare of farmers. And the PM also lauded his stand against the emergency and said Chaudhry Charan Singh's dedication to the farmers and his commitment to democracy is inspiring to the entire nation. The PM expressed immense joy over the announcement of Bharat Ratna for Dr. M.S. Swaminathan for his monumental contributions to agriculture and farmers' welfare. The PM also said he played a pivotal role in helping India achieve self-reliance in agriculture during challenging times and made outstanding efforts towards modernizing Indian agriculture. Recognizing his invaluable work as an innovator, the PM said Dr. Swaminathan's visionary leadership has not only transformed Indian agriculture but also ensured the nation's food security and prosperity. Well, Prime Minister Modi has lauded late former Prime Minister Narasimha Rao's liberalization policies, late former Prime Minister Charan Singh's championing of the cause of farmers, and agricultural scientist M.S. Swaminathan's services in the agricultural field. Let's take a look at the life and achievements of the three great personalities who have all been conferred with India's high civilian honour, the Bharat Ratna.
In a series of historic announcements, the Government of India on Friday declared the conferment of Bharat Ratna, the nation's highest civilian award, on three distinguished personalities who've made indelible contributions to the country in various fields. In a series of posts on X, Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced that former Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao and Charan Singh and agricultural scientist Dr. M.S. Swaminathan will be conferred with the Bharat Ratna. P.V. Narasimha Rao was an agriculturist, statesman, and his visionary leadership ushered India into a new era of economic development. He served extensively in various capacities, such as Minister of Home Affairs in 1984, Minister of External Affairs 1980 to 1984, Minister of Defence from 1984 to 1985, and then he became the Prime Minister of India in the year 1991 and served till 1996. In 1991, when India was facing a foreign reserves crisis, Narasimha Rao's government brought economic reforms and his policy saved India from economic collapse. Rao's administration also made strides in foreign policy. He launched the Look East policy and revitalized India's diplomatic relations with Europe, China and the United States. Chaudhry Charan Singh, who served as the Prime Minister of India, has been posthumously honoured with the Bharat Ratna. He was born on the 23rd of December in 1902 in Noorpur village in Meerut district of Uttar Pradesh and entered politics during the national movement. He dedicated his entire life to farmers' rights and welfare of the people. In 1967, Singh became the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh for the first time. He also stood firmly against the emergency, and his dedication to democracy is inspiring to the entire nation. Charan Singh became the Prime Minister of India in 1979. Charan Singh is always hailed as the champion of India's peasants. The government has also acknowledged Dr. M.S. Swaminathan's monumental role in transforming the Indian agriculture and ensuring the country's food security. Dr. Swaminathan was born on the 7th of August in the year 1925 and is popularly known as the father of Green Revolution in India. He served as the director of the Indian Agricultural Research Institute from 1961 to 1972 and became member of the parliament in 2007. He was also the recipient of Padma Shri in 1967, Raman Magsaysay Award for Community Leadership in 1971, Padma Bhushan in 1972 and Padma Vibhushan in 1989. Prime Minister Narendra Modi personally reflected on Dr. Swaminathan's visionary leadership and his profound contribution in nation's prosperity. The Indian government had earlier announced the country's highest civilian order for Lal Krishna Advani and Karpuri Thakur. The Bharat Ratna is India's highest civilian honour, and this year, total 5 people will be conferred with this coveted honour.
And India's Vice President and Chairperson of the Upper House, that is Rajya Sabha, Jagdeep Dhankar, appreciated the government's decision to give Bharat Ratna to former Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao.
Former Prime Minister Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao Garu has been honoured with Bharat Ratna. Shri Narasimha Rao has been known, and the Prime Minister has rightly noticed it, a distinguished scholar and statesman. His approach was sagacious and full of sublimity.
India has maintained its growth trajectory amid global political and economic turmoil. During an in-depth interaction with DD India about his new book, Why Bharat Matters, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said India is becoming self-reliant and has certain authenticity and cultural reaffirmation.
India has maintained its growth trajectory amid global political and economic turmoil. Since turning 75, India has been celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, a comprehensive framework to identify its successes and failures. The country's foreign policy has undergone many twists and turns, leading to subsequent changes in the image of Bharat. The decisive voice of India is heard across the world. In an exclusive interview to DD India, External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, said that the solution to the world's present-day problems lies in consensus.
You know, we've come through really a very testing 5 years, very big challenges, which we've handled with a great deal of self-confidence. The biggest challenge was COVID, but we also had the Article 370, both as a decision and managing its implications. We've had, I would say, in many ways, almost unprecedented challenge vis-a-vis China. And we had a global issue which is still continuing, like Ukraine. So if you look at how we have handled all of these, I would say in many ways that self-assurance is better captured by the word Bharat.
India is on the path of becoming the world's third largest economy. The External Affairs Minister said that India is becoming self-reliant and has a certain authenticity and cultural reaffirmation.
I think most people would agree that Bharat has a certain ring, a certain connotation. And it means, in a way, a certain authenticity, a certain cultural reaffirmation. I would say a degree of self-confidence, self-assurance. So it's a kind of like, look, we are coming into our own, we are who we have been in history over millennia.
Outlining the new world order, Jaishankar said India has played a crucial role, being president of the G20, and also talked about the inclusion of the African Union as a member.
To bridge the north-south divide and the east-west polarization, that also required a lot of self-assurance and a lot of skill and a certain, I would say, an Indian Bharatiya ability.
An inner force,
You know, almost I would say a kind of a cultural ability to get everybody around the table and create that kind of sarvasahmati, which actually, we saw in the G20. And I think, it's just not me saying it. If you ask people in the world, I think most people were really very impressed, almost amazed by the fact that we were able to pull it off.
Jaishankar, in his book Why Bharat Matters, has tried to elaborate a different strategy stemming from the Indian epics of the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, which according to him are relatable to India's policies. Naran Chauhan's report, DD India.
And still to come on DD India News are, Donald Trump sweeps Nevada Republican caucus, being the only major candidate. The conclusion of Joe Biden's classified documents case probe brings both relief and rancor for the US president. And President Putin says in a rare TV interview that Russia has no interest in a wider conflict.
Is telepathy real or fiction? Could it soon be a reality? Imagine controlling your world with your mind. Elon Musk's brain chip promises telepathy for real. But is it safe? Is it ethical? I connect the dots to get the full picture. Watch Connecting the Dots on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, as jailed former Prime Minister Imran Khan's party-backed independent candidates sprung a surprise, the counting of votes for general elections in Pakistan has been closed, while results for the 44 seats are still awaited. According to the provisional results, PTI-backed independent candidates have won 90 parliamentary seats, while projected front-runner Nawaz Sharif's PMLN managed to secure a win in just 62 seats. This is followed by Bilawal Bhutto-led PPP, Pakistan's People's Party, emerging victorious in 51 seats. It's been more than 24 hours since voting was closed. People in Pakistan were skeptical about a delay in the results for the country's national elections.
कल के जो इलेक्शंस हुए उसमें काफ़ी अच्छा टर्नआउट देखा और काफ़ी लोगों ने इसमें पार्टिसिपेट भी किया, लाइक जितने लोगों ने पहले पार्टिसिपेट नहीं किया था उन लोगों का भी टर्नआउट अच्छा रहा है। तो लेट्स सी कि इसमें अच्छा रिजल्ट आना चाहिए और जिनको मैंडेट मिला है तो होपफुली उन्हीं को दिया जाए, ना कि दूसरी पार्टीज़ को उनका लेकर चीज़ें ख़राब की जाए।
है कि जो नताइज आवाम ने वोट दिए हैं उसके मुताबिक आएंगे, कि उससे हट के नहीं आएंगे कि एक बंदे ने 20,000 वोट लिया है लेकिन वो आज उसको लेट करके कल उसके नतीजे आएंगे जिससे 50,000 वोट वो आगे चले जाएंगे। इस तरह नहीं होगा। उम्मीद है कि जिस उम्मीदवार को जितने वोट दिए हैं उतने ही वोट वो जीत सकता है।
All right, still no conclusive result as far as these elections in Pakistan are concerned, and counting has been closed for the day. Jessica Tareja now joins me from the newsroom for more on this. Jessica, what does this tell us about the electoral process in Pakistan? Uncertainty prevailing, not good for Pakistan at a delicate juncture, economically and otherwise as well. And now we won't know what the final picture will be of the elections, at least till tomorrow.
That's correct, Gautam. And if you look at the Election Commission of Pakistan's current provisional details that have been provided, the number goes further down. So we're still expecting a lot of calculations to still continue and get the final result. And as you mentioned, 44 seats are still not counted. And of course, let's not forget the reservation seats, approximately 70 of them. But amidst all of this, as we've been observing the Pakistan elections results so far in the morning, it is clear that there are limits to political engineering when it comes to Pakistan's election. Even though this might be the 12th general election and military might be holding the cards and calling the shots from the background, but and it's a well-established fact that the military controls the political landscape of the country. But this time, with the PTI-backed candidates, independent candidates, winning 90 seats, has not only sprung a surprise for Pakistan. The electorate has clearly said, has spelled it out that selection is not going to work in this country anymore, and it would sort of go ahead with an election. But then again, with these independent candidates, one doesn't know as to what kind of party affiliations they'll be looking for tomorrow morning. You heard the speech of former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif, who said that he doesn't have a clear majority. And if you read through the reports in Pakistan media, they also say that he's going to put his brother Shehbaz Sharif as the PM candidate and not him, while those reports are still not confirmed. But his speech had made it clear that they do not have the majority with just 62 seats out of the 216 or 212, pardon me, seats that have been counted so far. It doesn't look like a clear win for the front-runner Nawaz Sharif as projected during pre-polls.
Yes, but he still sounded fairly reassured that something might get worked out. And why is that? Because right now, as you're saying, it's the independents who were backed by the PTI who really lead the charge as far as the next assembly is concerned, the National Assembly in Pakistan is concerned. But they have certain compulsions, right?
Absolutely correct. They do have certain compulsions. You would remember, that the cricket bat symbol, and just to give our viewers a bit of perspective on how party symbols become extremely important when the electorate is not rather educated about the greater details of the issues that the candidates might have been campaigning for. It's the party symbols that they recognize. While former Pakistan Prime Minister Naran Khan's Pakistani Tehreek-e-Insaf wanted the cricket bat symbol, it did not get one. It wasn't awarded one. In fact, no candidate could fight under the banner of PTI. And as we already know, Imran Khan, along with his wife and many other senior party leaders of PTI, are in jail. So the election was considered to be extremely tough for the PTI candidates. But now that they have 90 seats, their political future remains uncertain. Of course, there's fear and there are reports of horse trading, which is the likely outcome in Pakistan elections every year. So in the morning, hopefully there'll be more clarity. While you heard PMLN chief and former Pakistan Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif also say that he'll be reaching out to parties to form a possible coalition. But those discussions and deliberations overnight will tell us what the real picture of this election result is in Pakistan by tomorrow morning.
All right, well, let's leave it there for the time being, and let's see what happens tomorrow. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Jessica Taneja. Now, the race for the 2024 U.S. presidential elections is heating up as the Democratic and Republican primaries and caucuses are underway to select the two main contenders for the coveted office. According to the latest update, former President Donald Trump glided to victory in Nevada's Republican caucuses, an outcome all but guaranteed because he was the only major candidate on the ballot.
Donald Trump won the Nevada Republican caucuses after staunch loyalists in the state helped confirm the election would be a success for him. With this, Trump moves closer to becoming the Republican Party's White House standard-bearer in a likely general election rematch with U.S. President Joe Biden in November. After his win in Nevada and the U.S. Virgin Islands, Trump appeared before supporters in Las Vegas.
I just want to really thank the great people of Nevada, because this was a turnout. I don't know if you know, you broke the all-time record. The all-time caucus record was broken.
According to a polling firm report, Trump is the only frontrunner in his party's nominating race. He's the only major candidate competing in Nevada's caucuses and is set to win the state's 26 delegates to the party's nominating convention in July, after being projected the winner on Thursday night.
If Donald Trump doesn't make it, she's out on her own.
If it's not Trump, it's no one, yes. If he's who I want, he's who America wants, and I want what America wants.
The former U.S. president won 182 votes, or 74% of the 246 votes cast there, beating his last remaining rival in the Republican race, Nikki Haley, who won 26% support with 64 votes. The Nevada caucuses, organized by the Trump-friendly Nevada Republican Party, came 2 days after a state-run primary election which saw a defeat for Haley. Despite the results in Nevada having little impact on the Republican nominating contest, the state will be a hotly contested battleground because its population can swing to either party and play a significant role in November's presidential election. Rahul Upadhyay's report, DD India.
A 15-month investigation into U.S. President Joe Biden for improperly handling classified documents ended on Thursday after Special Counsel Robert Hugh's probe concluded that a jury would be unlikely to find him guilty. Special Counsel Hugh's report did not charge President Joe Biden with a crime, but it hinted towards a forgetful commander-in-chief who failed to properly protect highly sensitive classified information, a depiction that could hurt Biden politically. The president reacted sharply to the labeling. Now, the much talked about and derided Vladimir Putin interview by a conservative US TV host Tucker Carlson hit the airwaves on Friday, over 2 hours long, where the Russian president gave history lessons to Carlson going back to the 8th century for over half an hour. The interview served as a vehicle for Putin to justify his offensive against Ukraine while claiming he's ready to negotiate peace. Putin also said he's not interested in further expansion. Take a look.
What messages do you get back?
It was a much-hyped rare interview that Russian President Vladimir Putin gave to US conservative TV news show host Tucker Carlson on his eponymous network. Recorded on the 6th of February and released on Friday, the 2-hour-long interview mostly saw Tucker Carlson nodding, while Vladimir Putin went as far back as the 8th century AD for at least half an hour to justify his special military operation in Ukraine. However, the Russian leader also said that the nation will fight for its interests to the end, but has no interest in expanding its war in Ukraine.
And they're trying to intimidate their own population with an imaginary Russian threat. This is an obvious fact. And thinking people, not Philistines, but thinking people, analysts, those who are engaged in real politics, just smart people, understand perfectly well that this is a fake. They're trying to fuel the Russian threat.
The threat I think you're referring to is a Russian invasion of Poland, Latvia, expansionist behavior. Can you imagine a scenario where you sent Russian troops to Poland?
Only in one case, if Poland attacks Russia. Why? Because we have no interest in Poland, Latvia, or anywhere else. Why would we do that? We simply don't have any interest. It's just threat-mongering.
During the course of his first interview since before Russia-Ukraine conflict began, Putin said that Western leaders had come to realize it was impossible to inflict a strategic defeat on Russia and were wondering what to do next. He claimed that Russia has never refused a negotiated settlement of the hostilities.
Further on, President of Ukraine issued a decree prohibiting negotiations with us. Let him cancel that decree, and that's it. We have never refused negotiations, indeed. We hear all the time, is Russia ready? Yes, we have not refused. It was them who publicly refused. Well, let him cancel his decree and enter into negotiations. We have never refused.
Carlson made no attempt to pin Putin down on issues like countless deaths since the fighting began and the alleged war crimes for which he's been indicted, nor for the state of affairs with Russia, where political opposition and free speech are said to have been snuffed out. Towards the end of the interview, he asked about releasing the jailed US journalist Ivan Gershkovich, who was arrested last year in Russia on espionage charges. Putin told him that negotiations are ongoing.
We are ready to talk. Moreover, the talks are underway. And there have been many successful examples of these talks crowned with success. Probably this is going to be crowned with success as well. But we have to come to an agreement.
Kyiv has so far not reacted to Putin's assertion made during Tucker Carlson's interview. Washington, which has sent Ukraine more than $110 billion in aid since February 2022, has made it clear that it has no interest in talking on Putin's terms. Bureau Report, DD India.
Let's now take you across live to DD India's Dasha Chernyshyova in Moscow. Good evening, Dasha. How is the Kremlin assessing the reaction that President Putin's interview has generated in the West?
Well, we have heard from the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov suggesting that the Western countries and people in the West will have to carefully study and analyze every word that the Russian president has spoken in this interview with Tucker Carlson. We understand from the position of the Kremlin that what matters for the Russian president is the opinion of the Russian people, but many analysts here in Russia suggest that not many new things have been raised by the Russian president in this interview. Therefore, they suggest that it is indeed aimed to the Western public, and the Western public will have an opportunity to look at the reasoning behind the so-called special military operation in Ukraine, which Russia started almost 2 years ago. The Russian president did talk in great length about the historical background, about the reasons of this special military operation, but most importantly, he did reiterate the Russian position that Moscow does want to achieve the goals of this operation, be it militarily or through the negotiations process, suggesting that the operation could end in a matter of a week. But it is the Western politicians who are unwilling to do so. That's according to the Russian President Vladimir Putin. So certainly we understand that this interview has been widely anticipated, and the Kremlin is looking at the reaction of the Western people who, according to some of the analysts here in Moscow, start to understand what Moscow means by its statement now more clearly.
Right. Now, Kyiv has been busy with big-ticket military changes. How does Moscow view the replacement of Ukraine's top general, and how is the move expected to change the present course of the conflict?
Well, indeed, the Kremlin is closely monitoring all the developments when it comes to the staffing decisions in Kyiv, because it is of paramount importance for the operation in Ukraine. But at the same time, the Kremlin has dismissed the idea of the replacement of Zaluzhny with Syrsky as being important for the course of the operation. That will not change the course of the operation, Dmitry Peskov has said. What matters at this moment for Moscow is that the operation has to achieve its goals of denazification and demilitarization of Ukraine, and no matter who is at the helm in the Ukrainian armed forces, Russia will still be doing what it has been doing for almost 2 years now, that is trying to demilitarize Ukraine. At the same time, some Russian lawmakers have also been commenting on this matter, suggesting that the new head of the armed forces in Ukraine, Syrsky, was actually born in Russia, in the Vladimir region, and he has graduated from a military school in Moscow, saying that in fact he is the man who has sworn the oath twice, once to the USSR and the second time to Ukraine. So they are suggesting that talks a lot about his position.
All right. Well, let's leave it there for the moment and see how things shape up. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Dasha Cherneshova. Let's now take a look at some of the other developments from around the world as well. British Prince Harry has settled the remainder of his lawsuit against Mirror Group newspapers over phone hacking. The publisher agreed to pay substantial damages and his legal costs. However, that judgment only considered 33 of 148 articles Harry had complained about, ruling in his favor over 15 of these. Mirror Group newspapers will pay the Duke of Sussex a substantial additional sum by way of damages. Britain's King Charles is now better after his treatment for an enlarged prostate. In her first public engagement since the 75-year-old monarch was diagnosed with cancer, Queen Camilla was speaking to a well-wisher at a charity concert in southern England, and she said he's doing well. A cupboard of 7 giant panda cubs gathered for a specially arranged New Year event. The furry boars gathered at a breeding base in northwest China's Shaanxi province to extend Chinese New Year greetings to people. The Qinling Giant Panda Research Center is one of the 3 major panda research centers in China. And still to come on DD India News Hour, we'll be speaking with our expert guest about Prime Minister Modi's assertion that it's India's time, made at a global business summit. US President Joe Biden to host German Chancellor Olaf Scholz at the White House. And Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister Biman Prasad lauds Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy, and let's now get to talking about what Prime Minister Modi just said a short while back at a global business summit in New Delhi. He said it's India time. India is making rapid economic progress, making great strides, and the world is recognizing it. The world is saying that this is India's moment as well. India has gone through a lot of transformation as far as the last 10 years when he has ruled the country with his government, the NDA government in Delhi is concerned. And one of the big takeaways of those 10 years has been 250 million people have been brought out of poverty. Let's go across to senior journalist Shekhar Iyer for more on this. Shekhar, what did you make of the Prime Minister's address in terms of how he tracked the journey of the last 10 years and even compared it in a way to what was there earlier, and talked about the white paper as well that has been brought out by his government about the rule of the UPA which preceded his 10 years?
Definitely, Gautam, in the last couple of days, we have seen, both with the white paper or the state of affairs prior to 2014, and as well as Prime Minister's two addresses, rather two replies, both in the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha, to the motion of thanks to the President. Now, in all these addresses, what has come across and what has been amplified by today at the Global Business Summit is that India is poised for a big takeoff. Takeoff in the sense that we have overcome some of the potholes that were there in our path to progress and development, as the Prime Minister put it. And then the second term was trying to create some institutions, infrastructures, and speedier effort to fill up the gaps that were noticed earlier. Now, the third phase that is going to begin in less than 100 days, as the Prime Minister has put it, is to go for big-time solutions for our long-time problems, whether it is infrastructure, agriculture, removal of poverty, creation of jobs, reskilling our labor, opportunities for the youth, opportunities for our Nari Shakti. These are the areas that are going to see very, very innovative solutions. And I believe the Prime Minister has already been working on these ideas with his team. In fact, if you recall, last year there was a meeting when the new Pragati Maidan Mandapam was opened. He had called all the union ministers for a meeting, or the entire Union Council of Ministers were present. And they were given a preview of what kind of plans that are afoot once the Prime Minister wins the third mandate. In fact, many Prime Ministers were surprised that a lot of preparatory work had already begun. What are the things to be done as soon as the government takes charge by June of this year? Which means no time is going to be lost. And today in the address you heard, while filling up those gaps, like Prime Minister pointed out, the removal of fake beneficiaries, fake labharthis from several of the schemes because of direct benefit transfer. That itself saved 10,000 crores. And Prime Minister said money saved like that is also money earned. Now the idea is there are no dearth of resources. What is needed is well-intentioned plans are put into action and they are implemented on the ground. A Prime Minister is looking at ideas, projects like those backward districts program, which are actually called, these are model districts. So there are areas where the thrust would be on speed, on scale, on extent, and 100% saturation of some of the flagship programs. So this is a future that the Prime Minister is eagerly looking forward to, because he has ideas, his team has ideas. The new government will see more young faces, more fresh faces to take forward these schemes so that the results are visible and tangible on the ground. You saw this time too, as soon as we saw the Viksit program being rolled out, Viksit Bharat program, which was actually to tell the people, reminding them that these are the schemes. If you have been left out, do join, which is a very unique in itself, because the Prime Minister's scheme, nobody is left out. This time you are going to see big ticket changes, big ticket reforms, just to unleash the power that is India.
Yes. Is there some understanding as to what still remains as an unfinished agenda, which we might see unfold in terms of reforms that you speak of in the third term as and when it happens?
Gautam, I can see a lot of focus on the rural sector. There is a lot of focus on agriculture. We have seen, during the COVID period and subsequent to that, packages were announced for agriculture and allied services like dairy farming, pisciculture, floriculture. Those are going to receive very big boost in terms of technology, in terms of capital-intensive approach, as well as creation of cold storages, cold chains, supply chains, which will actually go toward doubling the income of our farmers. Today, we are still struggling about the minimum support price, legal guarantees for that, and things like that. Whereas the Prime Minister is looking at a situation, all these demands of being, just minimum support price and things like that are at the bottom of the issues. Rather, Prime Minister is looking at a situation where the farmer is able to tap the market he wants within India and outside, and also is able to offer his produce at the best of prices. And the involvement of women in agriculture. We have already seen self-help groups, self-help groups, where the Prime Minister has talked of crorepati, lakpati, women who would be using technology like drone for the purpose of agriculture. See, there are several innovative ideas that the Prime Minister has been tapping on. And what we are going to witness is faster and speedier transformation. Because now the emphasis will be on speed. The emphasis, of course, will continue to be on monitoring, deliverables on the ground, covering everybody, and particularly the Prime Minister's pet idea of reaching out to the Antodaya. Because the Antodaya of yesterday is today, is gradually transforming himself into a person who wants opportunity to better his economic lot. So we are going to see a lot of, I would say, measures that would see not just emphasis on welfare or welfare programs, but also things that will take people from welfare to work. And that's going to be on a very, very grand scale.
Right. And in terms of the other challenges, like, and there are plenty in terms of equity, sustainability, even in terms of jobs, if it comes to artificial intelligence and generative artificial intelligence, do you think these are things that will also be tackled, because they require, even beyond India, countries to work together, perhaps at an international level?
Definitely, Gautam, because you mentioned artificial intelligence. There are other areas which require our youth to equip themselves or re-equip themselves with new skills, with challenging frontier areas of knowledge, which will see a complete new world of opportunity open up. So you're going to see all that. And apart from that, you're also going to see that in terms of where we have reached out to the poorest of the poor, you're going to see more scientific approach, more categorization and subcategorization of people who need more attention, and also a real-time evaluation of how the government's expenditure is going to meet these objectives. And in terms of what is it for the common people, you're going to see better health care, multi-speciality hospitals coming up at district level everywhere. You're going to see better coverage of health insurance schemes. You're going to see quality education, because that's one area the Prime Minister is very keen. We are working on the quantity. We are working more number of schools coming up, more colleges coming up, covering up a lot of areas. But at the same time, emphasis on quality, emphasis on excellence. These are areas are also going to receive a lot of attention. PM has always talked about zero defect products, which means focus will be on manufacturing world standard goods, so that the world is our market. And when we talk of self-reliance, we are also talking of, we make products that matches any other product that is made anywhere in the world. That's how the approach is. The entrepreneurs, manufacturers who are going to see a new market that is yet to evolve. But once the product or quality comes, you will find the market. So these are areas where the Prime Minister wants to break the standard mode of thinking.
Right.
Because everything comes from thinking. And between thinking and thought process and implementation, Prime Minister seeks complete integrity and complete work on a real-time manner.
Certainly. Well, the ultimate goal is to make India a developed nation by 2047. And the Prime Minister is very confident that he can get us there. Thank you for joining us and talking about what the Prime Minister had to say about this process that is unfolding in India at the Global Business Summit. Now, US President Joe Biden is set to host German Chancellor Olaf Scholz at the White House on Friday. Both the leaders are scheduled to discuss new aid for Ukraine and the conflict in West Asia. The meeting comes after House Republicans have blocked new US funding for Ukraine, arguing that US can't provide billions of dollars of aid and that Europe should do more for Kyiv. India's Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman called the White Paper a statement of responsibility that outlines the efforts of the NDA to pull out the Indian economy from its fragile state that it once was.
White paper has been laid on the table by a government which, after 10 full years of pulling out an Indian economy which was in a state of fragile 5 to reach the stage of top 5 economy and on the verge of reaching top 3 position. It is a statement laid with responsibility so that the records of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha have the factual information on the economy.
Now, during the discussion on the White Paper on the Indian economy in India's lower house of parliament, the Finance Minister said that the UPA government left the economy in distress. She said it was due to Prime Minister Modi's efforts that the economy was able to revive. The White Paper on the Indian economy compares the economic performance of 10 years of the Congress-led UPA government with that of 10 years of the BJP-led NDA government. The objectives of the White Paper have been to inform both the Indian Parliament and the public about the critical state of the economy, governance and finances inherited by the current government in 2014. It also details the challenges faced, such as high inflation, banking crisis and external vulnerability, and outlines the policies and measures implemented to restore economic health and fulfill the growth aspirations of the people. The White Paper is divided in 3 parts, as you can see on the screen. Discusses the macroeconomic situation under the previous government of UPA. Part 2 gives the current status of various corruption scams of the UPA government. And Part 3 elaborates on how current NDA government turned economy around, rekindling people's hopes. Now, Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Biman Prasad, who is in India for a week-long tour, has become the first foreign leader to visit, is going to become the first foreign leader to visit the Ram Mandir in the North Indian city of Ayodhya. DD India's Ramesh Ramachandran had an exclusive conversation with Biman Prasad, where he lauded Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his leadership.
Fiji's Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Biman Prasad has lauded Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership. In an exclusive interview with DD India's Ramesh Ramachandran, Biman Prasad said that India is the fastest growing nation in terms of economic growth.
Since Prime Minister Modi ji visited Fiji in 2014 and the subsequent holding of the India-Pacific Summit in Fiji, then the second one was in Jaipur and the third one was in Papua New Guinea. And I think India's global leadership as part of the Indo-Pacific strategy, the Quad group, and globally, and India's progress, economic progress. The fast economic growth that we see, India is probably the leading country in terms of economic growth.
During his visit to India, Biman Prasad also visited newly built Ram Mandir in Ayodhya. Prasad led a high-level Fiji delegation to Ayodhya. Prasad is the first foreign dignitary who paid his obeisance at Ram Mandir.
When one talks about Ayodhya, it immediately invokes the great feeling, the recital of the epic Ramayana, where Lord Ram returns to Ayodhya. And Diwali is a national holiday in Fiji. So it does invoke a lot of yawning, emotion, and the feeling of connectivity and identity with India.
India and Fiji share close, friendly and long-standing relations with a strong element of development partnership. There are strong cultural links between the two countries, as 38% of Fiji's population is of Indian descent. Last year, Fiji conferred Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi with its highest honor.
And still to come on DD India News are India to host Miss World pageant for the second time after a gap of nearly 30 years. Three-time Olympic champion Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce announces her retirement plans. Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, Dubai is primed to serve as a venue for the forthcoming 11th World Government Summit, scheduled from the 12th of this month to the 14th. The summit's overarching theme, Shaping the Governments of the Future, underscores its forward-looking agenda. Notably, India, Turkey and Qatar have been designated as esteemed guests of honor for the 2024 edition. India's Prime Minister Modi is slated to deliver a keynote address during the summit proceedings on the 14th of this month. BPCL unveiled India's first domestically produced alkaline electrolyzer at the India Energy Week 2024 in Goa. It developed the electrolyzer in collaboration with Baba Atomic Research. This will help in achieving high cell efficiency and durability in alkaline environment. DD India's Tapas Bhattacharya reports.
A sustainable future. We have the tools.
Comes to green hydrogen, and what better way than to come to BPCL's pavilion, where they have made a Make in India electrolyzer. And I have with me Mr. Rennie, who is the Chief Manager of R&D. Sir, BPCL is doing huge work when it comes to green hydrogen and hydrogen-related work. And this is one of its kind electrolyzer, with BPCL. Prime Minister Modi also came here. Tell us more about this, new facet of this particular innovation.
Yeah. So in this hydrogen pavilion, BPCL is showcasing the green hydrogen initiatives of BPCL. So along with joining hands with Baba Atomic Research Center, we have developed an alkaline electrolyzer technology, which was already in use at BERC. We scaled it up with the help of BERC. We scaled it up from 25 kilowatt scale to the current scale which you are seeing. Okay. So it undergone various stages of scale up. We tested this electrolyzer for its performance parameters, that whether it meeting the current density, its performance in terms of the energy consumption. So all these performance studies were carried out in a BPCL R&D center, and now we have scaled up this electrolyzer to a scale where we can commercially deploy wherever the use cases are there.
We see vehicular pollution, is quite high in India. We believe that this model can be used, and then the vehicular pollution can also reduce considerably.
Yeah, the idea is that with this particular technology, we want to demonstrate from the current scale to megawatt scale, so that you can produce hydrogen cost effectively.
How much water do you require to create let's say 1 kilo of hydrogen.
Yeah. So typically you require to produce 1 kg of hydrogen, you require 10 kg of water. Okay. And it is recommended that you circulate this water in such a way that your losses are reduced in the system, because only the loss is the system losses, that losses from the separators and other things.
So that was the chief manager of R&D of BPCL who have demonstrated this amazing electrolyzer facility. This is what is a classic example of making India, made in India is. With camera person Ajit, this is Taposh Bhattacharya for DD India from the India Energy Week in Goa.
Well, India is poised to host the illustrious Miss World pageant for the second time after a hiatus of 28 years. Commencing with the grand opening ceremony scheduled for the 28th of February in Delhi, the prestigious event will culminate on the 9th of March in Mumbai. A diverse array of contestants hailing from 120 nations will grace this global stage. Notably, Sini Shetty will be representing India in this esteemed competition. And now it's time to get you some sporting updates as well. Three-time Olympic champion Shelly Ann Fraser-Pryce announced her retirement plans. In a statement, Shelly said that she owes it to her family to retire after the upcoming Paris 24 Olympic Games. The 37-year-old athlete, who is regarded as one of the greatest sprinters of all time, won the 100-meter title in 2008 and 2012. Jamaican Fraser-Pryce also won Tokyo 2020 Olympic relay gold, in addition to 3 of her 10 world titles, and that too in a comeback after giving birth to her son in 2017. In total, Fraser-Pryce has won 3 Olympic golds, 4 silvers and a bronze. She also became the oldest woman to win the 100-meter world title with a victory in Doha in 2019 and extended that record by winning again at the age of 35 in Eugene in 2022, 14 years after her first Olympic gold. That's all we have for this edition of DD India News Hour, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, as well as Instagram. We'll be back with more news and updates as they break here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.